Welcome to HortTube. My name is Jim Putnam, and I'm in a very, very muggy Raleigh, North Carolina, Zone 7B. It's the middle of August. I'm a little behind doing my fall vegetable seeds at this point. I would rather have done them probably a week, maybe even 2 weeks ago. On some of the things, especially things like broccoli, the lettuce and stuff will be fine, but some of those others, I would like to have done them a little earlier. It's fine. I have a frost protection blanket, and if you're going to do a fall garden, I recommend getting some sort of frost protection blanket. I'll link one down below from Amazon. You don't have to buy it from there, but you can see what I'm talking about when I say frost protection blanket. Because initially in the fall every year, what we get is a few minor frosts typically. We don't go right to a hard freeze. Those minor frosts, if you can avoid those minor frosts, you can extend your fall vegetable season a long way. And that's going to be things like peas and broccoli and cauliflower and all my leafy greens, collards, lettuce, Swiss chard, all those types of things. Here in Raleigh, I can probably go to pretty close to December harvesting those things. Even beyond, if I leave some of my leaf lettuces, I'll leave them mobile. I'll leave them in pots, and I can bring them inside for those even colder nights. So you'll see that as this goes along during the fall. But today I'm just getting started on seeding. I filled these 50 cell trays. My version of starting seeds is probably fairly high end, meaning that I've invested a little bit of money into this operation. I've got some nice 50 cell plastic trays that I can reuse over and over and over again. If you've been watching my channel for 4 years, yeah, I've probably used this tray before that you're going to see me putting seed in now. I have a liner tray underneath that, and that liner tray is solid, and so I can water from underneath. I don't have to water the top of the tray, which can make a mess inside my house because I have a light rack inside, so I can water directly into that tray and let the water wick up into it. So that's my, that little two-piece part right there is probably $1, maybe a little bit more, but again, I can reuse them over and over and over again. It's probably more like $2 if you're buying them in small packs. But anyway, I have that, and then I have the my light rack inside. Initially, when we put seeds into a tray like this, we don't need light. Once they germinate, we need light. So this could either be outside in some sort of part shade condition in the landscape somewhere, and once it germinates, you can work it toward being in the full sun. You probably need it up off the ground somewhat because maybe a rabbit or something will come along and do some damage to them. You can start your fall vegetables directly in the ground. A lot of them, certainly your peas and things, you can start directly in the ground without the need for starting them early like this. But I like to put the plants in pretty established right at the time that it's time to put them in the ground. And for me, that's going to be right around, I can start this the first week of September. I don't think I'm going to have things quite ready at that point, but certainly by the second week of September, I'll be putting things in the ground because my tomatoes and peppers and everything are already starting to slow down. I get seed from lots of different sources. I've got seed, obviously I think this probably came from Home Depot. The burpee seed that I have probably came from Home Depot. I've got seed from Baker's Creek. I've got collards from them. I've got kale that I think I probably picked up again at Lowe's or Home Depot. I ordered some things from Park Seed. I'm actually doing some snapdragons from seed this fall. The snapdragons will bloom through the whole winter for me. I'm also doing some violas that I got from Baker's Creek. Also will bloom all winter in my area. And then I got a lot of stuff from Johnny Seed, like I always do. I've got broccoli, butter crunch lettuce, bib lettuce, so on and so forth. I've got kohlrabi again, pak choy, lots of different fall leafy greens. Okay, so I filled the tray. This is a pine bark compost and perlite mix. That's what it is. I don't have any peat moss in this. I'm trying going forward to use as little peat moss as possible. And I'm not going to use coconut coir. I always get that recommendation down below, but there's no possibility that coconut coir is any more environmentally sensitive or environmentally responsible than peat moss. If you're telling me that we're going to harvest coconuts in the tropics, process the outer shell into a peat moss-like product, bale it, compact it, and bale it into plastic, and put it on a boat or a plane and send it to the United States. That's not any more environmentally friendly at all. I think maybe coconut coir is probably the least environmentally friendly if we really did an analysis of it. Anyway, so again, this is pine bark, compost, and perlite is what I have in mixed into here. I need something like compost or peat moss or the coconut coir as a wicking agent. If you're going to water from the bottom, like I'm doing, it has to wick up. If I used all just bark, some sort of bark mix, it wouldn't wick up. I'd have to water from the top down for sure. Again, I've got electric in the house that the light's on top of it. So I don't want to be watering over the top of this tray and having the water run over the edges. So there we go. This is all so straightforward. I've got the trays filled. I bounced the tray up and down. You may have seen that in the initial video there to settle it. Then I put a little additional soil in there. I set it in this tray. I watered from the bottom, and the color of the soil has now turned darker, and they're ready for seeds. All I got to do is make some sort of indention in each of these, because most of these seeds just need to be lightly covered, and you can use a screwdriver or a pencil or anything you want to. You can use your pinky. It doesn't really matter, but I just make a small indention right here in the center of each of these, and then whatever seed it is, we'll start with this broccoli. I'm going to do, these are 50 cell trays. I've got 3 different types of broccoli. I probably will just do 1 full tray of broccoli, so I might do 3 rows of several different ones. I've got labels. Trying to spill these. Okay, so I'm going to take 2. I'm going to put these into a few of these into my hand here, and I'll put 2 in each of these spots that I dug the hole for. I'm going to give you a close-up of this on the next one. But this is all pretty straightforward. Broccoli seed's tiny. I barely want it covered, so I made almost no indention whatsoever for these. And okay, so there's 2 rows just that quick, and I'll tamp that soil on top of them. I'm going to do a 3rd row. This broccoli is called Monty. I'm going to put the list up on the screen for the vegetable seeds I'm using this fall. Okay, so there's that. Okay, so I've done 3 rows of this Monty broccoli. I've got some plastic nursery labels, or what you can call these, whatever you want to. Just plastic plant labels. I have a giant box. I have giant boxes of them because I had a nursery in the past, and I had several boxes left over at the end that I'm using up. You do not need to buy something like this. You do need to. I think it is best to label what you're doing. And so I've got 3 different broccolis in here. What if one of them is just terrible, doesn't perform at all? I want to know which one that is so I can eliminate it next time. Or what if one is just fantastic and heads much quicker, so that I can, in my short fall season, definitely get broccoli. I want to know that as well. So I definitely want them labeled. I'll take these plastic labels and actually cut them in half. And then ultimately I'll use front and back over 2 seasons. So I'll get 4 out of one of these 6-inch long labels. But you can cut a plastic bottle up. You can cut any type of single-use plastic thing that you have and use a permanent marker. Make sure it's a marker that's labeled as like a garden marker. Again, it's another thing you can get off Lowe's. It's something that says garden marker. This will prevent the sun and all the watering. You think about the amount of watering we're going to do on these plants while they're in the garden. We don't want to wash. We don't want the ink to wash away, and we're also putting these vegetables in the full sun. So again, this broccoli is called Monty, and I'm going to put that on the label. I can also put the date that I'm seeding this, and then that would give me some idea of how long it actually took from seed to finished product. But there you go. I have 2 seeds in each of those cells, barely covered. The cells have been watered from the bottom. It's still actually soaking it up. I don't need any light on this, until they germinate. Once they germinate, I definitely have to have the lights on the light rack in the house. I'll give you a close-up of the next broccoli. There was the Monty broccoli, and there's still seed in this pack. I can do cool season vegetables in the fall, and then I can do them again in the late winter. So this is my late winter seed as well. So let's see, lettuce. Okay, here's Green Magic hybrid broccoli. I used this this past spring. This one was very reliable. So opening the pack, and this broccoli is so tiny. It always ends up here on the sticky part of the top of the pack. Okay. Again, I'm just going to take the back of this, make sure that I've made some little indentions in there just like that. And I'm going to pour some of this in here. I can tap them in as well with slightly larger seed, but these tiny seeds like this, it's much more difficult to do. I got these holes a little bit deep on this one, so I'm filling them back in just a hair, putting 2 seeds there, and then covering them just like that. So here in the Southeast, we have very short springs. Like you can get a frost one morning and then it'd be 90 degrees 2 days later. That's how it kind of feels like spring goes by super fast. But our falls are super elongated and a great time of year to be growing all of these leafy greens. Again, I'm a week or 2 late starting my seed. It's been pretty typical of me this year for whatever reason. I'm just constantly behind on things, but that's okay. I'm still going to get plenty out of this. Again, I put up the list of all the things that I'm putting in. There's absolutely no difference between any of them. I do have some sugar snap peas. These are the only thing that will go directly in the ground, and I'm actually going to do that this week. These peas will go in the ground this week, and they'll go along a chain link fence back here, so they can just grow up the chain link fence. Everything else I'm starting in these trays. As soon as they have germinated, the lights will come on. Maybe a day or 2 after that, I will start watering with a little bit of fish emulsion. So I'll mix some fish emulsion into my water, just a small rate. The rate should be on the back for whatever you're using. It's like a tablespoon per gallon of water, something like that. It's a little smelly, but does a great job in the house of just being just a low rate fertilizer. There's not a lot of nutrients in this in this plant mix that I'm using here, so the fish emulsion makes up for that. In terms of prep for my vegetable garden, I actually recomposted the whole vegetable garden for the spring crops, and so I'm going to just run with that. So the compost that was put in for this year will be my compost. After these fall crops come out, I'm going to recompost that garden sometime in December or January and have it ready to go again for next spring. That's the process. Once a year, I put down about 3/4 of an inch to an inch of compost to refresh those beds. I could put a little now, and it may be helpful to some of these things, but I think I did an adequate job in the spring. Everything out there has been great this summer. So that's it. I'm just starting seeds. I'm starting seeds. Though, I don't need the light rack inside, but I do find that it makes for just a more uniform finished product. So thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and follow along, because these things will be going in the ground here in about 2 weeks.